Welcome to our deep dive into multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
You might be prepping for a big security meeting, brushing up on the basics, or just curious about keeping your data safe.
Yeah.
Whatever your reason,
Yeah.
we're going to unpack the essential insights from your stack of articles and videos,
That's right.
particularly those by cybersecurity expert Bert Blevins.
Yeah, he's a really great resource for this.
Okay.
Yeah. So these days, we're not just talking about protecting passwords,
Right.
like, financial records, personal data,
Right.
even your secret cookie recipe.
Oh, yeah.
All that juicy stuff lives online.
Okay, so let's start with the big question.
Sure.
What exactly is MFA?
Right.
And why should we care?
Well, MFA is like having a multi-lock system for your digital life.
Okay.
It's all about adding layers of verification beyond just your password. And the beauty of it is that even if one element gets compromised,
Right.
say someone sniffs out your password,
Okay.
those extra layers act as a backup, protecting those valuable secrets.
So it's like having a guard at the door, checking your ID and your invitation before letting you into the party.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that makes it way harder for uninvited guests to crash the digital party.
So, Bert Blevins really emphasizes that MFA is more than just a good idea.
Right.
It's becoming a must-have.
Yeah, he's really strong on that.
He points out that industries like finance, healthcare, and government,
Yeah.
they're increasingly relying on MFA not only to safeguard data, but also to build trust.
Yeah. Think about it.
Okay.
You feel more confident sharing your details with a bank that has top-notch security measures in place, right?
Sure.
It's the same idea online.
Okay.
MFA is a powerful signal that an organization is serious about protecting your information.
Makes sense now. I've definitely encountered those extra verification steps when logging into things like my bank account.
Right.
Is that basically MFA in action?
Absolutely. You enter your password. That's
Yeah.
one factor. And then you might get a code sent to your phone that you have to enter as well.
Right.
That's another factor.
Those little 6-digit codes that expire every 30 seconds, making me panic to type them in on time.
Right.
So that's not just them being annoying.
Right.
There's a method to the madness.
Exactly. That's a common type of MFA called Oath OTP, or one-time password.
Okay.
And it's more effective than you might think.
Really?
In fact, studies have shown that using Oath OTP can block nearly 100% of automated bot attacks.
Wow. 100%. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It seems like it's not just a minor inconvenience. It's really making a difference.
It absolutely is.
That's good.
And the good news is that setting it up is relatively painless.
Okay.
Bert Blevins actually has a step-by-step guide in one of his YouTube videos.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
Now I'm curious, what are some other examples of how MFA might work in the real world?
Well, let's say you're trying to log into your work email on a new device
Okay.
beyond your password. You might get a notification on your phone asking you to approve the login attempt.
Okay.
Or some systems use biometric scans like fingerprints or facial recognition
Right.
as another layer of verification.
So it's like combining a secret password with a fingerprint scan, like in those spy movies?
Exactly.
That makes it way harder for anyone to impersonate you, even if they somehow got a hold of your password.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to a really crucial point.
Yeah.
MFA isn't just about adding a bunch of annoying steps.
Right.
It's about strategically choosing the right layers of protection
Okay.
for the specific type of information you're guarding.
Now that we're talking about these different types of MFA,
Yeah.
it makes me think,
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about these different types of MFA, it makes me think, what other options are out there beyond passwords and codes and biometrics?
Yeah, well.
What about something like voice recognition? I feel like I've seen that in movies where they analyze someone's voice to verify their identity.
Yeah, voice recognition is definitely emerging as a potential MFA factor.
Really?
It analyzes those unique vocal patterns we all have, creating what's essentially a digital fingerprint of your voice.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is.
Is that something people are actually using right now, or is that still in the realm of sci-fi?
Well, it's actually being used in some applications today,
Oh, wow.
particularly for hands-free authentication.
Okay.
Think about using voice commands to unlock your smart home devices or make payments through your voice assistant.
Right.
Those often incorporate voice recognition as part of their security.
Okay, so it's starting to make its way into our everyday lives.
It is.
What about behavioral biometrics?
Yeah.
That sounds even more futuristic.
Yeah, it's
What is that exactly?
Well, behavioral biometrics takes things a step further by analyzing patterns in how you interact with your devices.
Okay.
It looks at things like your typing speed,
Uh-huh.
mouse movements, the pressure you apply on your touchscreen,
Okay.
even the way you hold your phone. It's all about building a unique profile of your digital habits.
So it's like they're creating a digital shadow of you based on your behavior online.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
It's still relatively early in its development,
Right.
but it holds a lot of promise for the future of MFA.
That is wild. It's
Yeah.
like they're taking those tell signs that poker players have and using them to verify your identity online. I'm definitely gonna have to keep an eye out for that one. But okay, back to reality for a second.
Right.
We've established that MFA is crucial. But how do we actually choose the right type of MFA for our specific needs?
Yes, that's us.
There seem to be so many options out there.
Right.
Where do we even start?
You're right, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's
Oh.
really about finding the right balance between security and convenience based on what you're trying to protect.
Okay.
A good starting point is to think about the sensitivity of the information you're dealing with.
So for example, if I'm just trying to protect my personal email account, maybe a simple authenticator app is sufficient. But if I'm dealing with, say, highly sensitive financial data or top secret cookie recipes, then I might need something more robust.
Exactly. For those higher risk scenarios, you might consider hardware tokens, biometric authentication, or even a combination of multiple factors.
Okay.
It's like choosing a lock for your door. A
Right.
simple padlock might be fine for a garden shed,
Right.
but you'd want something much stronger for a bank vault.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's all about choosing the right level of security for the job.
Eh.
Now, Bert Blevins briefly mentions a concept called Privilege Access Management, or PAM, in one of his articles. Can you tell us more about what that is and how it relates to MFA?
Absolutely. PAM is a critical part of organizational cybersecurity.
Okay.
While MFA focuses on protecting individual user accounts,
Right.
PAM takes things a step further by focusing on controlling and monitoring access to critical systems and sensitive data within organizations.
So it's like having a high security vault within a high security building.
Ex-
You need multiple layers of authentication and authorization to even get close to the crown jewels.
Think about it this way within any organization.
Okay.
You have certain individuals, like administrators or IT professionals,
Right.
who have access to really sensitive systems and information.
Okay.
These are the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
Right.
If those credentials are compromised,
Right.
the potential damage could be catastrophic.
It's like giving someone the master key to every door in the building. That's a lot of trust and a lot of potential risk.
Right.
So PAM is all about making sure those master keys don't fall into the wrong hands.
Precisely. PAM helps organizations establish clear policies and procedures for managing those privileged accounts.
Okay.
It ensures that only authorized individuals can access sensitive information and that their actions are tracked and audited,
Okay.
adding that extra layer of accountability and transparency.
It sounds like PAM is essential for any organization that takes cybersecurity seriously.
It really is, especially as businesses are increasingly relying on cloud computing and remote access.
Right.
The need for robust PAM solutions is only going to become more critical.
Okay.
It's all about protecting those crown jewels no matter where they reside.
So you've got MFA for individual users and PAM for safeguarding entire organizations. It seems like we're building quite the fortress of digital security here.
We are, and remember,
Yeah.
it's not just about technology.
Right.
Strong passwords, regular software updates, and being aware of phishing scams are all essential pieces of the puzzle.
Right. It's like having the most sophisticated alarm system, but leaving your window open technology can only do so much. We need to do our part to stay vigilant.
Exactly. Security is a shared responsibility.
Okay.
We all have a role to play in creating a safer and more secure digital world.
Right.
Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground here,
Right.
but I want to make sure you walk away with some actionable takeaways.
Okay.
What are the key steps someone can take today?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've talked about a lot of concepts, but what can our listeners actually do to put this knowledge into action?
Here are a few simple yet powerful steps everyone can take.
Okay.
Number one, create strong, unique passwords for all of your accounts.
Okay, so strong passwords, we hear this all the time,
Right.
but it's truly the foundation of good security. What are some best practices for creating strong passwords that we can actually remember?
First and foremost, avoid using common passwords like password123 or your pet's name.
Okay.
Aim for a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters.
Got it. So longer is better and mix it up.
Exactly.
But how are we supposed to remember all these complex passwords?
That's where a password manager comes in handy.
Okay.
It can generate and store those strong, unique passwords for all your accounts.
Okay.
So you don't have to juggle them all in your head.
That makes sense.
Okay.
What about enabling MFA wherever possible?
Right.
We've talked about its importance, but where should people start?
Most online services, like your email provider bank and social media platforms,
Yeah.
offer MFA as an option these days.
Okay.
Just check your account setting
Yeah.
and look for something like security or two-factor authentication.
Right.
It usually just involves scanning a QR code with an authenticator app on your smartphone,
Right.
which is super easy to do.
So even I can handle that perfect. Now, let's talk about software updates. Why are these so crucial from a security perspective?
Right.
I know I'm guilty of ignoring those notifications
And
sometimes.
we're all guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah.
But those software updates often include security patches that address known vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Think of it like reinforcing the weak spots in your defenses.
Uh-huh.
Ignoring updates leaves your devices susceptible to attacks.
Right.
So make it a habit to keep your operating system applications and antivirus software up to date.
No more clicking remind me later.
Yeah.
Then, okay, and finally, let's talk about those pesky phishing scams. What are some red flags people should look out for?
Phishing emails are designed to trick you into clicking on malicious links or giving away sensitive information.
Right.
Be wary of emails with suspicious sender addresses. Generic greetings like Dear Customer, urgent requests, or grammatical errors.
Okay.
If something feels off, it probably is.
Right.
Always verify the legitimacy of any request before clicking links or opening attachments.
Right. It's like that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. A healthy dose of skepticism and a careful eye can go a long way in protecting yourself from those phishing attacks.
So strong passwords enabling MFA, keeping software updated, and being wary of phishing scams. Those are the key takeaways for our listeners today.
You got it. These simple steps can make a significant difference in protecting your digital life. Now, while we're on the topic of digital life,
You know, while we're on topic of digital life, it strikes me that all this talk about MFA and cybersecurity, it's not just about protecting data. It's really about protecting ourselves, our identities, our way of life in this increasingly digital world.
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's easy to get caught up in the technical details, but we can't lose sight of the bigger picture. Cybersecurity is ultimately about safeguarding what matters most to us in this digital age.
I completely agree, and that brings up an interesting thought as we dive deeper into this world of digital security. Are there any potential downsides or unintended consequences that we should be thinking about? It feels like there's always a trade-off with technology.
That's a really insightful question, and one that deserves more attention. While MFA and other security measures are absolutely crucial, they do come with certain trade-offs. It's a constant balancing act.
Like what, for instance?
Well, one potential concern is the increasing complexity of our digital lives. As we add more layers of security, things can become more cumbersome and time-consuming for everyday users. It's a delicate balance between security and usability.
Right. We don't want to create so much friction that people get frustrated and just give up on security altogether. It's like having to go through airport security every time you want to check your email.
Exactly, and then there's the issue of data privacy. As we generate more data about our online activities, how is that information being used and protected? Who has access to it, and for what purposes? These are questions we need to be asking.
It's a valid concern. The more we rely on technology to verify our identities, the more data points we're creating about ourselves. It raises those important questions about data ownership transparency and the potential for misuse.
Absolutely. And we also can't forget about the potential for exclusion. Not everyone has equal access to technology or the same level of digital literacy as security measures become more sophisticated. We need to make sure they're not creating barriers for certain groups or exacerbating existing inequalities.
That's a really important point. Cybersecurity isn't just a technical issue, it's a social issue as well. We need to be mindful of the human impact of these technologies and strive for solutions that are inclusive and accessible for everyone.
Well said. Another aspect to consider is the potential for over-reliance on technology. While MFA and other security tools are powerful, they shouldn't be seen as a silver bullet. We still need to exercise caution, critical thinking, and good old-fashioned common sense in our digital interactions.
Right. It's like having a top-of-the-line security system, but leaving your front door wide open technology can only do so much. we still need to play our part in protecting ourselves.
Exactly. Security is a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play in creating a safer and more secure digital world.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into MFA and the broader world of cybersecurity, what are some final thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think the key takeaway is that in this increasingly digital world, protecting our secrets is more important than ever, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with those simple steps we discussed, implement them consistently, and stay informed about emerging threats and technologies.
Great advice. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice good security habits, the stronger and more resilient you become in this digital landscape.
Exactly, and remember, security is an ongoing journey, not a destination. Stay curious, stay engaged, and stay ahead of the curve.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of MFA and beyond. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to take control of your own digital security.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious, stay secure, and keep exploring the fascinating world around us.